Hi, this is Keith from GrowingUpShy.com again with the second video installment of the accompanying vlog that goes with GrowingUpShy.com. Today's topic is about going back home. I had a pretty interesting conversation with a good friend of mine the other day over the 4th of July holiday about whether or not you can truly go back. The example he gave, or the parable, so to speak, was about alley cats. And he said, you know what, Keith, can an alley cat that becomes a house cat uh, go back to being an alley cat and survive in the alley? He meant this as a reference to me moving back into the inner city of Chicago. Back in 2005, I moved my family out. I had teenage boys, and Chicago, as you know, is a pretty violent city. And we moved out to the far suburbs of Chicago, Plainfield, Illinois, which is more like a suburb of Joliet than it is of Chicago. But you know what? It served its purpose. I took the boys out there, my daughter as well, and they got a pretty decent education. Both of the boys are doing well. They're at the University of Northern Illinois University, and they have a pretty good start on life, and it served its purpose. But the purpose was always to just support my family's goals of education and safety. Now that the boys have grown up and that's moved on, it was time for me to basically move back to the city. I love Chicago with all its flaws. It's still, I think, the world's greatest city. And I think there's needs to be some type of stable families and examples such as I think my own family to help move the community forward. But you don't spend years away from somewhere and not be changed. So can you go back home and really be home? I have to admit that there are some things that went back in 1998 when I moved into my place on the south side of Chicago that's pretty different than what they are today. I'm looking at it, at least I'm looking at it from a different lens than I did when I first moved into my home in Chicago. Everything was new, everything was big. It was a really great experience. I felt extremely blessed. Now I come back and what I'm experiencing, those things that you really don't realize when you come from a area such as near Naperville, where you have plenty of casual food dining options, shopping options, practically great customer service in a lot of instances for a lot of big chains. I moved back to the southeast side of Chicago. There's just not a lot of options for higher end amenities. But that's the softer side. There's also the cultural differences as well. You walk down the street. I like to run, so I literally run from the both ends of Jeffrey, from as far south as 99th and Jeffrey, as far north as maybe 47th and Lakeshore Drive. And I have to tell you, that's a much different scenery than it is when I'm running up and down Caden Farm or Route 59 in Plainfield, Illinois. It's the scenery is much different. So that brought back the question: can a alley cat who becomes a house cat become an alley cat and survive again? I think you can. You never. I think you're probably a little bit different than you. I think at the end of the day, you're still a alley cat. You're just an alley cat that's a little bit more cultured. So you might not dig through as many trash cans first. You might go to the back door. You might be a little bit more bold to go to the back door of a house to get fed versus digging through trash cans. Is my comparison. So, I love to hear comments on it. This is the second post. These things are going to come pretty rapid fire. I appreciate you guys stopping by.